Welcome to TruPowur, home of the most powerful marketing tools, training, and technology on planet Earth. Get ready to earn, enjoy, and experience more than you ever dreamed was possible. If you're tired of just getting by and ready to really thrive, then buckle in and listen up. Here's your host, Matt Fox.
Well, hello, and welcome this fine day today on TruPowur Academy. On episode 259, we are going to be talking about the TruPowur CRM and dialer and how to navigate the different functions to best use the practices that are going to give you the best results and maximize your time within the platform, and some of the updates that we are adding to the lead request system that will make choosing the best locations for what market you want to be involved in, giving you more options to deal with your customers. So if you do have any questions along the way, please type them into the chat. So without any further ado, let me share my screen and let's jump right into it. So from the quick launch menu, which everybody should be familiar with, if you're not, it is at agent.trupowur.com. And from the top of the menu, you can select the CRM. And once you have logged into the system, it will pull up your high-level dashboard, which just gives you a brief overview as to where you stand in your dialing effort. So let's take a moment and kind of go over some of the areas that are in the CRM that can provide you some extra value as well. So we'll start from the right side here under Documents. And under the Documents tab, you have a lot of information that is available. We're always updating things. So if you do have questions, this is probably the best place to look immediately. So if you are going to be talking to customers about the community solar or the solar farm applications, which is available for both residential and commercial, you've got a lot of information that is available for you there. As far as the solar installs with the Power Platform, scripts, overcoming objections, frequently asked questions by homeowners, a lot of good information there as well. The utility audit, which is primarily most of the functions that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, talking to customers during the daytime prior to 5 o'clock is going to be commercial application. So we typically will open that conversation with the utility audit, where we can go backwards up to 4 years, identifying the errors on the utility and getting that back as a refund. So there's a lot of information here. So you have scripts and rebuttals and all kinds of brochures, depending on the different types of cost centers to include. To speed up a lot of the processes, we have started issuing the service agreement as soon as we start putting that customer in for an audit. So that way there's no issues. And so that will come to the customer via DocuSign, which there's a copy of right down there. To include any of the electric and natural gas opportunities that we will take the customer through as the second phase of that utility audit. There is a lot of information. You should take some time and look at everything that's within the document folders so you are aware of what's available, and you'll have different assets that you can use in your different campaigns. The help desk, which is helpful. If you have an issue, you can certainly send a ticket or send an email to support@trupowur.net or trupowur.com, and support will handle it there, or you can add a ticket just right within the CRM, and then they will respond to that as well. Under the Tools tab, you have Email Matrix, which will let you know how your email is doing, if you're getting any kickbacks or if you have any bad emails or anything, who's looking at your emails, all of the tracking on that, because everything that we do is tracked. So that gives you a good opportunity to be able to see who's looking at what, when, and where. So, and then of course your dialing matrix. If you're wanting to see, how are you doing on a daily basis? How many calls have you made? What kind of activity you have, how many dials you've had, you've got all of that available. If you are setting appointments up with a customer, you can look at the calendar to give you a good view as to what dates you have open and available. And the system will automatically email you at the end of the day any appointments that you have set up for tomorrow. So it'll always keep you posted as to what your schedule is. If you happen to have a warm lead or somebody that you generated, a self-generated lead, and you want to add that into the system, you have to do is click on a new lead. You can enter that customer's information in there. I would tell you that under the lead source, I would set that as self-sourced, and then obviously select whether it's residential or commercial, and then be sure to create that lead and save it so that you know that it's a self-generated lead. If you have more than just a few that you want to put in by hand, for some reason, if you have a list that is in a spreadsheet, you can send that to support. They will upload that and cross-reference it to the customers that are already in the system, and they'll let you know if there are any duplicates. But if you do have a large list that you want added into the system, they will upload that into your CRM for you, and it will be listed under self-source. So nobody else is going to have access to it, but it makes it a lot easier if you have multiple contacts that you want loaded into the system. So we're going to jump over here into the leads area, and you can see that here it says I have 200 fresh leads that I have never contacted or I have never spoken to. And all of my field settings here are set to all. So if I'm going to work in a specific campaign, I see a lot of times people will take and just switch this to commercial. And then what that's going to do is pull up all of your commercial leads. So if you're wanting to focus on a specific area, the place to do that is actually under the lead source. So if you are going to be working, let's say, in Illinois, then you're going to want to pull up Illinois and then hit search filter to update the system. I don't have any Illinois, I don't think. No. And so it is going to pull up only the leads that are in Illinois. So if you switch this to just commercial and don't have it selected by state, you're going to be pulling up all of the commercial or all of the residential. So keep that in mind when you're making the selections. The best way to do that is to do it from the lead source and then enter that in there. So if I am going to be focusing on Texas solar homeowner leads that I've got in the system, then I want to hit update. You can see it says that I have 198 of those leads in the system. So if you put everything back to all sources, that's going to allow you to see everything that is available. So let's go ahead and jump into the lead. So I'm going to open that up, just select the one at the top of the list. It is going to bring up the entire list. You can see that this is the first lead of 200. And so I've got all of the customers' information that I need minus their email address, which Sometimes we have available, but we purposely strip that out so that we're not sending spam. I know that everybody here today wouldn't do that, but sometimes people are tempted. So it's best to get that updated email address from the customer, enter that into the system so that we know that you're sending it to somebody who has actually given you that email address. So a couple things here. When we're making calls, it is a very simple process of clicking on the dial button. It is going to pull up the dial pad. I can use the drop or the hang up. Now, just so you know, we do not use the voicemail drop on any residential whatsoever. Do not leave voicemails. Don't leave messages unless you have spoken to that customer prior. Don't use the voicemail drop. The voicemail drop is for commercial customers only. So you can contact the customer by simply dialing the button there. And when you're finished with this customer, it's important that you change the status. So if I called this customer and there was no answer, then I would probably go calling, prospecting, first call, no answer, try again, and then make sure that you hit save so that now when I go to my next lead, that lead that we just contacted will be taken out of this database and put into that subcategory of no answer, try again. And so it makes it much easier for you to be able to follow up with customers in the future, knowing where you left off with them, because it's going to build out the list, which you'll see here momentarily. So a couple of other things, if you're dealing with residential or commercial customers, and you are going to send them an email, putting their email will then allow you to access the email templates. So from here, all I need to do is actually select the email that I want to send to this customer. If it was a solar prospect and I want to send them that information, I can go ahead and do that. Now, in this case, you can see that the name on here is all in caps. I don't think that is the way that somebody would actually write their name. So I probably would change that so that it looks a little nicer. Other than that, you can see that the attachments are included. So anytime an email is sent out, if there's a brochure or anything that is necessary to aid in that email, it will be attached. So all I have to do is hit send to send that customer the email. It's going to automatically put your information in there, and then you can see that it's tracking. So when that customer opens that email, a pop-up will appear on your screen, so you'll know exactly when that customer is looking at that email. If you happen to not be online, the system will send you an email notification letting you know that that customer has opened up the email and has reviewed the information that you sent to them. So again, if I sent this person the email bill request, then I want to update that and then hit save. So then I'm going to go to my next lead and continue working. Some of the other things that I think that make it very interesting, especially if you're dealing with commercial and residential, is using the search map, which opens up an area where you can see the property. So if you click on the satellite view and zoom in here a little bit, a couple clicks, we can see that based on this home's layout, this actually, if I was talking to the customer about solar, This is actually a very, very good home for solar. You can see that there are a lot of planes that are available to the south. And so it's going to get the maximum of exposure for solar. If you see a home that is surrounded, and I saw one earlier today that was surrounded by trees like this home, you can see the shadows are casting. So you really only would be able to put solar on here, which may not really provide the full benefit that that customer would need. So you can see this home is very clear. This one has a lot of shading based on the trees. Unless that customer wants to remove some of that foliage to get access to that, this probably wouldn't be the best home to choose from. One of the other things to make mention of, occasionally you will run into a situation where the homeowners association will not allow a homeowner to have solar if it's visible from the street. So you can see this home that the front of the house is facing south. This is the side where you would be putting predominantly most of the solar. So this probably would not be a good fit. So if you see that the facing of the home is facing south, you want to make sure and ask the customer if their homeowners association allows or disallows solar to be seen from the street. So those are just a couple of things that you want to be aware of in using the search update. So that's a really good tool. On the commercial side, it allows you to see the basic structure of the building. Is it a skyscraper? Is it a business that was put in a converted gas station? So it gives you kind of an idea as to the size of that customer. On the solar leads, we're providing things like the home value, their credit rating, the household income, with the commercial customers, you'll see their utility expenses, the square footage. So that gives you an idea as to the size of that customer as well. So if I sent this customer the information that I needed to get their utility bill, then I would update that here in the process. So I'm going to send that to the first email solar utility request, or if it was a commercial customer, the first utility audit bill request, which is personalized. So that means I spoke to the person that actually handles controlling the cost of the business. If for some reason you're asking for the CEO or the CFO or the COO or whoever it is in charge of controlling the cost of the business, and their assistant gives you their email, then don't use the personalized. Use the one that is designed for them, so that when you send out an email, let me go back over here. When you send out the email, make sure that you're choosing the one that says referred by somebody. So that will actually say that you were referred to me as the individual who handles the utilities. If you use the personalized email, it's going to say, I enjoyed speaking with you today. And that's not going to sound right because you didn't talk to them, you talked to the assistant. So just be mindful of which email it is that you send to that individual. So now if we go back over to the leads here just for a moment, you can see that there are actually 2 extra fields that were added because I had one earlier that was a no answer, try again. And the other one, I had sent the utility bill request to the customer. So as I start calling through my leads, you can see that the number here on fresh leads has gone down, and this is starting to build out. So if I want to go back, say on Friday, and call all the people that were no answers or try them at a different time of day, then I can do that. If I still don't get an answer, then I'll change that status from first call, no answer to second call, no answer. So I'm going to try that at different times to help you maximize that. So one of the other things, especially right now with the Texas market booming in the solar side of things, because a lot of the utility costs here in Texas have gone up 40 to 400%. So we've been focusing a lot within the Texas market. We have added local numbers. So when we are calling on a specific customer, if you're calling from a 214 or you're calling a 214 area code phone number, the system will grab a 214 area code number to show in the caller ID rather than the normal 833-302-1808 caller ID. So using local numbers has proven to increase contact. We're also on all of the new leads that you request for the solar installs are being added with the mobile number rather than just the home or landline. So that will help increase those numbers as well. When we look at making contact with people, although there are more people that are working from home today, it's important to note that most people have a job. And that means that during the day, before 5 o'clock customer time, we're probably going to be focusing more on commercial applications, more specifically the utility audit. So you have all of your scripts, which are available here at the top. I like to think of it more as a guideline than just a script, because you need to be able to communicate with that customer and make it make sense to them and have a conversation rather than just reading a script. So if you're doing the solar installs, you have that there, residential, commercial, the solar farms, and the audit. So you have all of those scripts are available in your docs. You have them online. You have them in your onboarding training. You have them available in the Discord app. So there's a lot of resources for you to be able to take and educate yourself and be the best you can. You take and look at anybody that's an actor has a script. Certain actors are usually acquired or hired because they're able to take that script and make it themselves. You can always tell when you see, Joe Pesci does any kind of acting, you just know because he has a certain style about him that embodies what he does. The same thing is with you. You got to have your own style, make it your own, make it make sense, communicate with that customer, and you'll get a lot further if you can come from a point of education rather than just trying to sell. So be an advisor, educate people, and let them know. One of the things that, I had a conversation yesterday with somebody that I was talking to about a solar install. And they said, well, why would I ever need to do that? I said, well, let me ask you, do you think that you're probably going to have an electric bill until the day you die? For the rest of your life, you're going to have an electric bill. And do you think that between now and that time, that your electric bill is going to increase over time? Just like everything else, it's typically going to go up 4 to 6% over the years, every year after year after year. Just like renting a home, the landlord is going to increase the rent. Doesn't matter what else is going on. That's just the reality. So if you can put the asset on your home and own it and make all of your own energy and cut what you're currently paying. So if you're paying $300 a month for electric now, and you can cut that down to $150 a month and lock it in so that for the next 15 or 20 years, you're only going to pay $150 a month. Your neighbor who was using electric at the same rate you were, who was at 300 also, in 5, 10, 15 years might be at $800 a month. You're still at 150. When that is paid off, now you have energy that doesn't cost you anything. So you can really get away from having a utility bill for the rest of your life. So make it make sense. Tell stories, make it make sense to the customer to make the right decision ultimately, right? So going back to the lead source here, you can see that as this builds out, you can always go in here and work on those leads. Now, mind you, right now I'm looking at everything, but if I am going to want to work in a specific area, then I'm going to need to update that lead source. So you see some of it went away. So now I know that everything that I see on my screen, even some of the updates for the call results, are only going to be Texas-based people that I have either not spoken to or need to speak to, or whatever it is that I need to deal with. So I just want to make sure that everybody is clear on that. So if you have any questions about any of that, then please type that into the chat and we can get your questions answered. So I think that that is pretty straightforward when it comes to using the CRM, the dialer, and the email platform. One of the things that is important is, secondly, is knowing where to be calling. How do you know? Well, in the old days, we used to use the analytics where we would go into the back of the platform and look at different areas to try and figure out, should I be in Illinois? Should I be in California? Should I be in Texas? Where should I be? Well, the reality is this. If you are working in the Texas market and you knew that Illinois was a better market for you to be working in, why wouldn't you select that, right? So when you look at things like the gold market, when gold prices are up, they're up globally. You never hear that gold's cheaper in San Diego today. You never hear that gold's cheaper in Miami today or Dallas. Energy is not like that. Energy is always fluctuating. It's seasonal, it's regional. And so we want to make sure that we are working in an area where we can provide the greatest amount of value, the greatest amount of impact for those customers. And to do that, we want to make sure that we are working in the right area. So right here from the quick launch menu, we are going to select the customer lead request form. And earlier I told you we are making some updates to this, and you should see that here in the next week or so as we update this. There is actually a lot that goes into making this thing work. But the first thing that you want to do when you're requesting leads is to check the market updates. Why? Well, the system is designed so that the analytics does the analytics on a daily basis and then creates this report in your back office as to where the best markets are. So if I'm looking for commercial customers to talk to them about electricity, these are going to be the states that are going to provide you the greatest amount of value, the greatest amount of impact. So those are the places that you want to focus on. So for commercial natural gas, those are the states. For residential electric, for residential natural gas. And then we also will post the outcome of any of the reverse auctions. So we have reverse auctions that are going on all the time. So we want to make sure that if we can see that there are certain suppliers that are being a little more aggressive, then we may want to take advantage of that. So I can see that Maryland and New Hampshire is being aggressive. So when I come up here and I'm looking at where should I be talking, I might want to choose New Hampshire, because I know that if I get a customer that I can use the reverse auction, they're going to be even more so aggressive than maybe in New Jersey or Delaware or anything like that. So be mindful of that when you're selecting your leads. Now, here's the other part to that, and that is, what are the next available steps? So if we come down and we look at New Hampshire, for example. So from New Hampshire, we can do the utility audit, we can do the AutoPilot, we can do custom pricing for electric and natural gas, matrix pricing for electric and natural gas, and then that's it. So this is all you have that's available for next step. So this is pretty good. If I'm talking to customers that are commercial, I know that I'm going to be able to use a reverse auction for electric. I'm going to have matrix pricing for electric. The top of these will tell you what those different fields are and what you can do with those customers. We're going to be updating this system to make it a little bit easier, because right now what you're having to do is select residential, commercial, or solar. So I think it's much easier to do it the other way around. So if I select commercial, electric, and natural gas, I think sometimes this confuses people. And so then I can select those states that are in there. So what we're going to do is take all of that information and flip it around so that you select the state first. And then instead of having to select whether it's residential, commercial, or anything like that, then it is going to tell you what else is available. So if I open up this little PDF, and this is got 2 pages on here. The second page is actually done so that you can see what states have the best next option. So if I'm talking to somebody in Illinois and I'm talking to them about a utility audit, when I get that bill, is there another opportunity for that customer to benefit? And is there another opportunity for me to create revenue? Remember that the utility audit takes time. It is not a quick turnaround. We are taking measures to reduce that down to 4 to 6 weeks. So, we're doing a lot to get all of those audits down as quickly as possible. So, but nonetheless, they take, 30, 60 days to finish a utility audit. That's at best tomorrow money, right? So when we get that utility bill, we want to make sure that we have the ability to go to the next step. So what would that next step be? The next step would be to look at their electric matrix pricing to be able to create a proposal to go back to that customer to provide value. And why would we do that? Well, because we looked at the analytics, and the analytics and the market update said that if I'm supposed to be focusing on Illinois, then I know that when I get that bill, in most cases, I'm going to be able to provide that customer a huge value proposition. And if their usage is over 100,000 kWh annually, then I can also do even better by putting that customer in and doing a reverse auction or custom pricing. Custom pricing and the reverse auction are one and the same. So I can do the reverse auction for electric and natural gas. I can do matrix pricing for electric. On the residential side, I've got electric and natural gas. So once I've reached a certain point with that customer, I'm going to talk to them about their home, about their electric and natural gas. And if they happen to be in one of those areas where we provide solar as well, when all of these other things are done, then we'll talk to them about their solar. opportunities, because we want to make sure that we get all of the utility stuff squared away before we start messing with the solar. So put the solar in play. That's going to cut their bill in half again. And if it happens to be a customer that is just, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to change anything, I want to leave everything just the way it is, then you always have the AutoPilot. The AutoPilot allows you to do both residential and commercial customers. It's similar in cost centers as to the utility audit. So you can upload all of their monthly bills minus their mortgage, car payment, and credit card. So you can upload all of their monthly bills. We do not switch any of their bills. All of their bills remain exactly the same. All we do is take their bills and add it to our aggregated volume of bills, and are able to reduce a residential customer $400 to $1,700 on average. Commercial customers, obviously, based on their usage and the number of bills, those numbers could be significantly higher. So we want to make sure that when you're selecting states to be calling, you're not only going to be focusing on states where you can provide the greatest amount of value, but you're also going to have next steps available that are going to help you create multiple revenue streams and multiple opportunities to provide value for that customer. And trust me, when you do the utility audit and you've done their electric, you've done their natural gas, talking to them about their home electric and natural gas is the easiest conversation. And then because every time you talk to them, they're saving or making money. When you get ready to start talking about solar, they're going to be, hey, whatever you advise, I'm doing. So it's important to note that, because if you see, people that are wanting to expand and talk to people in different areas, if you select Alabama as an area where you're going to focus for the utility audit, there's no other opportunity. So at best, you've got tomorrow money if there are errors on that utility. So that's going to be a long haul. Now, you can use the AutoPilot and reduce their bills that way. But I would say that these states down here that don't have any next steps would be filler. In other words, if I'm working from the East Coast to the West Coast and I'm wanting to put a state in there that is going to get me to the next time zone just because I want to work a little extra and make a little extra money, I don't mind talking to a few people otherwise. So it's important that you're focusing on the areas where you can provide customers the greatest amount of value. So what is AutoPilot all about? Well, it's right here under the AutoPilot tab. When you select that, it will bring up the page where you can watch a video that will talk a little bit about AutoPilot and how we reduce their bills. But in essence, same as the utility audit, except we don't go backwards. This goes forwards. So the audit goes backwards, AutoPilot goes forward. So we're basically taking all of their monthly bills, electric, internet, mobiles, cell phone is a huge one. Cable TV is a big one. Electric, anything that is a monthly bill, their bottled water delivery, their newspaper, their water, their trash, anything except car payment, mortgage, credit card. Be nice if we get the credit card in there. But you put their information into the system, take and upload their bill. So whatever that bill is, attach it to there, and we will start the process. We will usually get an answer back to the customer. They will receive a verification email in the process. As long as they've responded to that, we can get the AutoPilot typically done with the amount of their savings available to them within about 10 days. So And once we let them know how much that savings is, if they want to move forward, then they click yes, let's go. Otherwise, 100% risk-free to find out what and if there are any additional savings available to them. So a great opportunity, especially for customers who do not want to switch anything. If you get a customer that is just absolutely, I'm not switching anything. I did that last year with somebody and it was a big fiasco or it was a mess or whatever it is. This is what you use that for. So that'll make life a whole lot easier. So, all right, there are no more questions in the chat field. So I want to thank you for joining us today. And remember, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So have fun storming the castle. Bye now.